Good evening and welcome to the verbal aptitude session of GATE. Right, students? What I'm going to start with is that first of all, those students who are unaware about the scores, I'm just going to throw some light on the scores, then followed by the content. Time permits, definitely I'm going to take few questions wherein you can develop little confidence and work out on the GATE verbal aptitude session, students. Here we go with the scores first of all. So at least you should know where to concentrate and how to concentrate, where to hit the nail on the head. That is our focus is. Ultimately, students, first of all, sometimes we should understand it's a ocean. GATE syllabus is ocean. But can you swim in ocean? That is my first question to you. Definitely, everyone has to swim. No, sir, I want to jump straight away into the Pacific Ocean. Perhaps you may not come out of Pacific Ocean. So what I just want to tell you, students, you need to be judicious, you need to be rationalistic. You need to be, you need to be rationalistic in such a way that, well, certain syllabus ocean is there, but where to concentrate? Where can I hit a good figure in the examination? And that is what we are going to start with. Here we go. So let me not talk much about this one. So if you take it as something about general aptitude, students. This is general aptitude that is bifurcated or separated or got divided into two sections. One is verbal aptitude and the other one is numerical aptitude. And what is the total score of these one, students? Of 15 marks. So 15 marks in GATE is from aptitude side. And others, 15 from the mathematics. So non-technical itself is 30 marks. If you really want to cut a very good figure in the examination, if you want to get qualified, I think this non-technical subject is sufficient to get qualified. Well, you can score better marks in your technical subjects, but I just want to tell you about these non-technical subjects like wonderful students like. So, verbal aptitude. So down the line, if you have seen ever since from the year 2009 onwards, why I call 2009, why not 2008? Verbal aptitude was introduced in GATE in the year 2009. Down the line, so we have already seen now 13, 14 years of GATE verbal aptitude paper. So there is no constant marking as such in the verbal aptitude in particular streams. There is a variation, students. My observation, because I have been going through the papers, we have analyzed the papers, we have analyzed the scores. After analyzing, we have come to a kind of a conclusion. Streams like triple E, instrumentation, and computer science, 2009 onwards. Some of the years they have tested, I'm talking about verbal aptitude students like. Some of the years they have tested for 9 marks from this side. One of the years I found it for 11 marks. One of the years they tested it for 8 marks. Some of the years I should say, not one of the years. At times they tested for 7 marks. And one of the years I found it was even for 13 marks from this side. And sometimes even it was for 6 marks and sometimes it was even for 4 marks. Will you come to a kind of a conclusion, sir, I think it is 4 marks, why should I pay much attention towards this verbal aptitude? That's what I said. There's a great fluctuation in this course, but it will revolve within the totality of 15 marks itself. So these are the streams wherein I focused it and I analyzed. So scores vary and the rest of the marking would go to numerical aptitude students. Here if they test again like sometimes, if they are testing here 4, which means here it is for 11 marks then. That variation is there. And streams like civil engineering, mechanical engineering, EC, again, analysis and observation. Maximum mark that went here, it is 8. Then 7, 6, 4. Don't tell me the downward trend, please. No, don't ever think downward trend now. So here it is, students, like these are the scores that what I have observed it and what I have analyzed. Because every year we have to say that we have to go through the papers and give answers, analyze it. So therefore, I found these are the scores. So there may be some relaxation to these civil engineering students, mechanical engineering students, EC, but we don't know. GATE is sometimes uncertain, students. The area where they have not focused, they will try to focus on that particular area. So that's unpredictable sometimes. So as what we call it as verbal aptitude, these are the scores which I have analyzed. And GATE itself has almost 29 papers, students, 29 papers. We have A scatters, so 7 streams. But there is a agricultural engineering, there's a chemical engineering. Take an average every year, maybe 7 questions, let me call it as students, like 29 into 7, 7 to the 14, like maybe more than 150 questions they test from the verbal aptitude. So which means every year they search new questions. None of them get repeated. Concept is okay, so concept is one and the same, but a question has never been repeated. So this is how the scores have been designed, students. So please look into that. One caution I want to make it as, in the year 2009, they said verbal ability. And in the year 2000, the latest change. So verbal ability, verbal aptitude, definitely would ask me, sir, what would be the difference like? Definitely. From most difficult level, they have reduced to difficult level. That's all. So, verbal ability, the moment when we talk about verbal ability, the thought should come to our mind is, exams are that of GMAT, GRE, TOEFL, CSAT, then CAT. These are some of the ones wherein we frequently use the word verbal ability. And they have already tested in GATE also, students, like standardized questions of GRE, sometimes standardized questions of GMAT. But here they have reduced to verbal aptitude now, which means maybe taking into consideration in India, all are not from English medium background. Most of them are from Hindi medium, Marathi medium, Malayali medium, Tamil medium. So keeping in view, they have decreased the standardization. So most of the years, last couple of years, if you happen to go through, papers are quite easy, but highly complex. Simple in its conception, but complex in its execution. That's what I say. Right, students, like these are the scores, I think, if you can work out with that, right? So if you're having understood the concept of scores, then how can you think of leaving verbal aptitude? You cannot think of leaving verbal aptitude, students, now. They serve as an oxygen to your other GATE papers now. Having done with that, now we will straight away go to the content part, students. Now here we go with the content part now, right? So I have given the verbal ability, but let me make it as verbal aptitude. Right, students, here we go. So this is the content that is being given to us, and 2009, if you happen to view in the year maybe latest changes, there are few changes, students, like not great many changes. There are few changes that I should note, I should bring to your notice. So in the year 2009, they have just mentioned the word grammar, that's all. They have just mentioned the word grammar. And where they test, we don't know. The general term was grammar. But recent changes, what we found is that they have used one word, basic English grammar, they said. And you know the standard is that of class 9th and 10th, that's all. There is a note that is mentioned. Standard would be that of class 9th and 10th. So students, like this is basic English grammar, they said. So what are they going to test? They have clearly specified the topics. The first topic is tenses, students. Tenses please. And I think most of us are aware about the word tense or tenses. In high school, you have learned 3 kinds of tenses: present tense, past tense, and future tense. What are they going to test in this chapter, tenses? They are going to test in the form of spotting errors. They are going to test in the form of fill in the blanks, appropriate tense. Should I fill past perfect? Should I fill simple past? Should I fill past continuous? Or should I fill past perfect continuous? Tenses they are going to test. Under the chapter tenses, frequently there is a chapter that is conditional tenses. Right, students? Had you happened to sit in my class, definitely you would have understood better. That is conditional tenses. Most of the years I found what is conditional tense. If I go to Delhi, then they will give the fill in the blanks. So if I go, simple present tense, you have to end there with the simple future. If I go to Delhi, I will buy a watch. Right, students, such kind of questions. So the conditional tenses they have tested frequently. So that is one thing. Then again, so we have to focus on conditional tenses, then tenses, then sometimes the confused verbs. They have tested already confused verbs, V1, V2, V3. For example, if you take the word lie, L-I, lay, lane. Lay, V1 is lay, laid now. V2 lay and V1 also lay. That differences they have already been tested. So grammar is very simple, and if you can focus on the chapter tenses, you can really cut 1 mark in the GATE, students. Like they have clearly specified the chapter tenses. Wherein under the chapter tenses in my classes, what I am going to narrate, what I am going to teach you is that first of all, active and passive voice, direct and indirect speech, confused verbs, dangling modifiers. Sorry, that is one thing. Like then other thing is that conditional tenses. So these are some of the areas where we are going to focus under the chapter tenses. Now, okay, students, that is one thing. Now, coming to the next chapter, that is articles. Yes, very simple chapter, very easy chapter, article, students. And most of the years I found a, and, the. In addition to that, they have even tested some determinants. Words like few, a few, the difference between few and a few, little, a little. So there are a lot of questions. Every year I find one or the, because I told you, 29 streams, 29 papers. So definitely you will find one or the other streams. They have tested these articles. It's a very simple chapter. So in my classes, what I just to do is that first of all, I teach the syntax point of view. He is dash European, E-U-R-O-P-E-A-N now. 99.9% of the students say he is an European. That's a GATE question, students like, no. There we teach the syntax. It is not only what we call it as the consonant or vowels there, but we also have to see the sound also. That is what I impart in the class. So that is no doubt it begins with E, but actually the pronunciation is U, Y, U. So that is how the teaching goes on in the class. So first of all, I teach syntax. There are a lot of vowels, but they are pronounced as consonant sounds. There are a lot of consonants which are articulated as vowel sounds. For example, E is dash MP. M is consonant, but the pronunciation is M. M. I'm not writing here, students. I'm just telling you what and how the classes are going to be. So E is an MP now. No doubt it is consonant, but the articulation is that of vowel sound there. So that is what I impart in the class. Articles, expect one question from that one also, right? Coming to chapter called subject verb agreement. Every year I find this question, subject and verb agreement. So what is this subject now? Subject, I mean to say something should strike your mind under the title subject. It has to be either noun or it has to be pronoun. And then verb, which means both have to agree each other. The chapter name is called subject verb agreement, or we can also term it as subject verb concordance. Concordance. Now, confused subjects. There are only 3 parts of speech in English which has what? The concept of singular and plural concept. The chapter name is the number, noun, the number we say. Other parts of speech don't have this singular and plural. In one word, what I want to say is that if the subject is singular, your verb also should be singular. If the subject is plural, your verb also should be and must be plural. That is in the form of fill in the blanks. Most of the years I found this chapter, very important chapter, students. So, first of all, I have to teach you the chapter noun, the different kinds of what we call it as a singulars and plurals, right? Don't ever say, sir, plural, boy is boys, like no. But what about last one of the years they have tested analysis? And many students concluded analysis is plural because ending in yes. There are a lot of nouns in English which end in yes, but they are not plural. Analysis is singular. Analysis, es is plural. Is is singular, es is plural. They have tested a word tuberculosis. SIS is a singular. Tuberculosis. Are you able to understand, students, now? So therefore, there are intricate nouns wherein we have to know singular and plurals. Recently, one of the tests what I found is the word formula. Options they have given formulae and formulas. Don't you think that there is a confusion? So which word you would choose? Formula is singular. Formulae are formulas. Many of the students have chosen formulas. No doubt that, but that is American English. The right word is formulae. As you say, alga. Definitely you say algas, you don't say algae. So let us be scientific enough to choose the right term, precise, singular and plural. So every year they test one question on the basis of subject to verb agreement, students. It would have been nice had I thrown one question on this one. But anyway, students, my subject is something I always say that first you need to learn. Learn the subject, then attempt the questions. Sir, can't I attempt the questions without learning? You will get diffident. You will feel sorry. If your answer goes wrong, you will feel sorry. The second one you attempt, it is wrong because you have not known the concept. Then again you feel diffident. Then you throw the subject. Sir, I try to crack the questions, but I don't get the answer. Right, students, now? This is highly competitive based exam, students. What you have learned in high school may not be the one which we are going to teach here. In high school, you might have learned, your teacher might have said, someone is knocking at the door. Who is there? The answer is, it is me. There it was, okay. Your teacher was very happy and you are also very happy. But GATE doesn't permit such kind of answers. GATE is based on what we call it as a complete pedantic. In other words, I call it as students like standardized English, that is British English. Who is there? It is I. GATE accepts it is I, not it is me. You might have learned in high school, Ram is taller than me. Your teacher was happy and you were also very happy. Right? And you mark it as Ram is taller than me. GATE does not accept it because GATE follows standardized English, Queen's English, British English. Ram is taller than I am. That is the right answer here. Are you able to understand, students? So, you need to learn. You need to master. And supposing without learning the subject, you just attempt it, Ram is taller than me, check the answer, it is wrong, then you are diffident. So what I'm just telling you, students, like you need to master the subject, please. When it is 8 or 7 marks, how can you simply discard the subject? You cannot think of discarding it. Okay. So then there is a next chapter, adjective. What are they testing under the chapter adjective? Yes, you have some idea about the chapter adjective, students, which qualifies, modifies, describes nouns. Okay, fine. So generally what I found down the line, there are 3 degrees: positive degree, comparative degree, and superlative degree. So they might have given a sentence positive degree, asking you to transform it to comparative degree. You need not transform it, but already ABCD options have been given. But only thing is you need to trace the right transformation of the sentence. Having given the superlative degree sentence, maybe you are supposed, they will ask you to change it into comparative degree. And that is what I am going to teach in the class, a complete section of adjective chapters. How can you think of losing marks? No, the chapter is very easy, students. One of the questions in GATE from the chapter adjective, for example, let me call it as good, better, best. Everyone knows that. Good is a positive degree, better is a comparative degree, and best is the superlative degree now. Complexity, right. So if it is good, adjective modifies noun. Wonderful. Then what modifies adjective? Adverb there, right? What adverb it modifies now? All positive degree students like. It just takes one common adverb, is the word very, V-E-R-Y, very good. And the same word very you cannot use with the comparative degree. Very better you cannot say. But GATE has tested such questions. Did you understand? If you don't know, then you will make a mistake. For example, the word little, less, lesser, both are comparative degrees, and least. And GATE examination was very less. Less is comparative degree. How can you think of using the word very? Very little you say. Simple question, students. Definitely, if you attend the sessions, you can score more marks in this one now, right? Adverb chapter also, students, there are few questions they have tested under the chapter adverb now. Very simple questions. Confused questions like, most of the adverbs end in ly, ly. Sita sings melodiously. Very good. But here, questions like, I forgot completely. I completely forgot. Yesterday, I met Ram, or I met Ram yesterday. That is adverb of time. And there is a position. There is a position. Right, students? Now, adverbs. That is what I am going to teach in the class. And you need to focus, especially adverbs, students. Generally, adverb. Ad means towards, verb means towards verb. If there is a verb, adverb always goes with adverb. Adjective. Ad means towards, adjective means to throw. Throw towards a noun. Adjectives always go through towards nouns. Adverb always have to go towards verb, students. Okay? So there we have to know there are certain rules meant for there. Completely forgot or forgot completely. Please you start thinking the right one now. Right, students, now. Completely forgot or forgot completely. The right expression is completely forgot. Sir, but verb is there afterwards. Yes, that's what I said. There are exceptions sometimes. You need to follow that. Okay, that's one thing. And prepositions. Coming to the chapter prepositions. Every year I find one or the other prepositions. Basically, they test simple prepositions and compound prepositions. So what are simple prepositions? In, on, at, with. Okay, fine. But they are focusing on verbal phrases. So when I teach the preposition, first of all, adjective phrases, noun prepositional phrases, then again what we have is adjective phrases, noun phrases, and adverb phrases. Okay, students, now. So here we are going to talk about these ones, adjective, noun, and so verbal phrases, verbal phrases. So how are they testing these prepositions, students? For example, let me take the word call. Call in. Maybe they may give one word there, underline a sentence, and ask you to find out the synonymous word. So call in, call on, call for, call at. Now, to us, Indian students, call in, call on, call for, call at, all seems to be one and the same because we try to translate. But call in is different, call on is different, call at is different meaning, call for also has different meanings. Right, students? So therefore, preposition to chapters, what we have to focus there is simple prepositions, and at the same time, we need to focus on the phrases, prepositional phrases. So GATE has tested a lot of questions from the chapter preposition. Now, other parts of speech, what they said now. In English, there are 8 parts of speech. So what are they testing? Errors. What are they testing? In the form of fill in the blanks. What are they testing? Sentence improvement. What are the other parts of speech now? Other parts of speech could be conjunction. Yeah, there are chapters like conjunctions like unless, until, they have already tested. Should I use the word because or should I use the word so? Already they have tested the chapter conjunction. Then there is one more chapter called interjection. Yes, one of the years I also found this word, an exclamatory mark questions, interjection, students, right. Then subject means I already told you noun, pronoun, like now you can count them. There are 8 parts of speech. And how many marks are they're going to test? Like generally what I found every year when I just go through that, 3 marks from these BEAT students, like they are testing 3 marks. Other areas also you have to focus. But we don't know if they take one question from tense. Sometimes they avoid subject verb agreement. Sometimes if they take a question from adjective, they may avoid a question from the prepositions. Very good. So please pay little attention towards English grammar and see the difference, students, like wonderful. And we'll go with the next one, basic vocabulary. What are they testing? Always students ask me, sir, how much vocabulary should I learn? Sir, are they going to test new vocabulary? And vocabulary is one area where I'm very poor. I can't communicate better. I don't have words. No, don't worry about that. GATE has never tested unfamiliar, unknown vocabulary. GATE has never tested grandiloquent, magniloquent, laconic and verbose words. No, they never tested. The words which they have tested are under the circulation of our day-to-day activities. If you are a regular reader of a newspaper, you yourself will laugh. Oh, this word has been tested. So they are taking contextual words, students. So don't get puzzled about learning new kinds of vocabulary. No, not necessary. If you are a regular reader, contextual wise, look at the context and what do you infer from that. That is one thing what we have to master. So this is basic vocabulary. Words, they said, what do you mean by words, students? Like before that, in the year 2009, they just mentioned words, but now they have mentioned the word basic vocabulary. So words means in the form of one antonym, in the form of one synonym. So if they test one antonym, they don't test synonym. If they test a synonym, they may not test antonym. Directly a word they may give and options A, B, C, D, that is one way of possibility. The other one is they make a sentence and underline a word and ask you to find out the synonymous word or ask you to find out an antonymous word to the underlined word. That is one thing that we have to master. Okay, that's one thing. Yes, couple of years I found idioms. Simple idioms, students. Don't ever think, idioms which are on are not under our grasping level. So those idioms which are frequently being used. For example, one of the idioms which they tested in GATE is fish out of water. And I think every student should know such simple idioms. Fish out of water. He turned a deaf ear to my request. Turned a deaf ear and asked, underline the word turned a deaf ear and find out it is a synonymous word. Ignore. Both the parties are at loggerheads. Dispute. Is burning the midnight oil. Don't burn the candle at both ends. Are you able to understand, students? Simple, what we call it as idioms. The rest is history. So Idioms, especially, how am I going to teach in the class, students? Like I've designed it in alphabetical order. But what I try to teach students is that, depending on the time aspect again. So most of the idioms which are frequently used, that is what I am going to highlight in the class. So here, idioms also have been tested, and I think you need to get thorough with the idiomatic expressions. So there can be one. And phrases, I said. So what do I mean by phrases, students? Like when I talk about the preposition, like here we have something like, we can say phrases is, one is verbal phrases, and the second one is adjective phrases, and the one more is noun phrases. Maybe if I talk about verbal phrases, students, now for example, he congratulated dash my success. Congratulated in my success, congratulated at my success, congratulated on my success. Congratulated on. Adjective phrases. Is good with English, is good in English, is good at English, is good for English. Which is the right word now? Good. Is good at English. Noun phrases. I have an acquaintance with him, I have an acquaintance for him, I have an acquaintance on him. The word acquaintance will take with. I have an acquaintance with him. So that is what I mean to say phrases. So you can expect in GATE 2 questions here, students. 2 questions. 2 marks. So if they test one idiom, they may not test maybe antonym or one phrase or one synonymous word. So most often I find these basic vocabulary, students. Then when I say English and vocabulary, grammar and vocabulary, there can be fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks can be in the form of grammar. Fill in the blanks can be in the form of right vocabulary, befitting word we say. So that is one thing we have to focus, students, vocabulary part, right? Read constantly and gather the terminology in contextual usage. Sometimes even if you do not know the words, identify whether the words are positive, whether the words are negative, right? What the sentence tells us. The sentence is talking about a positive sense or the negative sense. Now you will ask, sir, what do you mean by positive words and negative words? Words which are very pleasant to hear, we term them as positive. For example, like beautiful, marvelous, wonderful, successful. These are all positive words. What about negative words? Like words which are unpleasant to hear, we term them as negative words. Dirty, ugly, maleficent, malnutrition. All these words are negative words because they are very unpleasant to hear. So in such a sense, we can work out with the basic vocabulary, students now. Now, the third point is reading and comprehension. Earlier, the title was critical reasoning. You know the heading critical reasoning that confines to CAT, CAT exam, GRE exam, GMAT exam. And it was really difficult, for us even to teach students critical reasoning questions because they are logically based ones. I mean to say not that difficult for us, like only thing is that what is your standardized level to understand these ones. GMAT student understands, GRE students understands, especially engineering students, they found it very difficult. For example, questions like inference based questions. Even today also they are testing inference based questions. Let us work on that. Strengthen the argument question, weaken the argument question, flaw in the argument, parallel the reasoning question, paradoxical questions. Author discussed all except negative factual questions, positive factual questions. Very difficult. Are you able to understand, students, now? So they have again reduced the standard of reading the critical reasoning question to reading and comprehension. And I find every year only one question they are testing, which means now today itself you know which question they are going to test in the coming GATE examination. One question is called, I'll just write it here, students, like with so confidence I can say there's one question is inference question. Inference question, like what is inference question? Like to infer means to reach some kind of opinion after having read 2, 3, 4 lines. Now, reading comprehension doesn't mean 300 words or 400 words. You will be given only maximum 2 lines, 3 lines. That's all. And after having read that, you need to reach some kind of a conclusion. To infer means to reach some kind of opinion, or you decide that something is true on the basis of some given information. And that is what reading and comprehension is. Wonderful students, like, if you can work out with this inference questions. I mean to say that after having read, you need to conclude. The weather is highly cloudy. What do you infer out of it? What do you conclude? Blood is going to drain from the clouds? No. Sir, it may rain. Simple conclusions. Simple inferences, logical inferences. Right, students? So you need to focus on these questions, and there are one or two more questions. Main idea, best summary, main point of the argument. These are the ones I'm going to throw significant light when you are in the class. Students, now this is one thing. And recently they have added one new section to us, narrative sequencing. Yes, recently also they have tested a chapter called narrative sequencing. So what is this narrative sequencing, students? Once when IES English paper, they used to frequently test this narrative sequencing. And why in other competitive state-based questions also, they have tested narrative sequencing. So something, they try to come out with P, Q, R, S. 4 sentences have been given. They are jumbled. You need to make proper sequence. You need to come out with the proper sequence. So the ability is to identify the topic sentence, where is the main sentence, and next what follows it depends on your options. So there you should not waste your time. Look at the options and then follow. Go with a technique called process of elimination techniques, and I think you can easily work out. Time permits, I'll take the question, students. That is PQRS, narrative sequence, narrating in a sequential order. So what are they going to test here now? The topics could be in the form of stories, narrating. It could be in the form of procedures. You might have learned in 9th and 10th how to prepare tea. Right, students? Now there is a sequence or historical events. All these things can be asked under the section narrative sequencing. That is one thing. So here, let us expect 2 marks. By default, it is 2 marks. Every year, this is must 2 marks. Right, students? Now, so reading comprehension or narrative sequencing. And the 4th one is analogy. Every year you find one question, students, it's for 1 mark. Every year you find one mark, please. Yes, you can look into the previous year's questions and check and see. So what is analogy, students? A pair is given. For example, let me just say, just for your understanding, students, supposing I say analogy, supposing I say room is to house. And they may come out with options like A, B, C, D. Room is to house just as, yes, maybe, let me just give you, for example, like refrigerator. Refrigerator is to kitchen. Okay. Supposing I say water is to bucket. Okay, furniture is to room. Maybe if I say cabin is to ship. I don't know how might have given this one, students, maybe, right? So every year you find one question from the chapter analogy. It's not based on vocabulary, students. It's not vocabulary. It is reasoning based question, I call it as. So there are strategies I need to teach. There are 10 strategies. When I teach analogy, definitely I throw more light on these ones, like what is this? This is a main pair. In main pair, why it is written in capital letters. Then again, why it is why a single colon and why there is a double colon, then what is its impact. So how to go about now, how you make a relationship between these two words. Okay, What is the relation now? If you make a relationship from the right side, will you have to follow the right sequence, or will you make if a relationship from the left side, will you make the sequence from the left side? All these things are going to be thrown in. I highlight these ones. And then the next bit in this one is types of analogy. If you master types of analogy, tip of the fingers you can answer it like person and dash, thing and dash, action and dash. So first of all, the moment you see carpenter is to saw, oh, person and tool now. And there is a link already there now. Oh, carpenter uses a saw in his course of his work. And if you can know one type, you can attempt to, based on that one type and one link, using the verb link, you can sort it out hundreds of analogical questions now. The same question, carpenter uses a saw in his course of his work, just as doctor uses a stethoscope in his course of his work. Astronomer uses telescope in his course of his work. So wonderful chapter, students, analogy. So first strategies, then followed by then types of analogy. There are 40 types I'm going to highlight in the class. So room, what type it is now? Room is a part of a house. Room is a part of a house, just as I'm not teaching here, but I'm just explaining. Room is, this single means is to be same. Room is to, house means, room is a part of a house. Double colon means just as this pair, similar to this link. You're supposed to determine one of the options as your answer choice. Parallel reasoning. Room is a part of a house, just as, can I say refrigerator is a part of a kitchen? There are many kitchens, there are no furniture place. So therefore I don't say the refrigerator is a part of a kitchen, I cannot say here now, right? Water is a part of a bucket, nuisance, that you can easily eliminate. Furniture is a part of a room. Oh, many argue with me, sir, if it is a room, there should be a furniture. But there are many rooms, but there is no furniture. Still you call it as a room. What about a newly constructed house? There are rooms, but there is no furniture. So therefore this also you cannot. Cabin, ship. Yes, if you say cabin, what we call it as, it should be and must be a part of a ship. So the obvious analogical cogent relationship is that room is a part of a house, just as cabin is a part of a ship, students. So students, if you can go in this manner, I mean to say that you can really work out. Sometimes what happens, this question can be raised in this format. Room is a part of a house, they will give the complete sentence. Room is a part of a house, just as cabin dash, fill in the blank. They may give kitchen, bucket, room, ship, and you are supposed to fill their ship. How wonderful and how nice it is, students. Okay, wonderful. So this is again 1 mark, and count the scores, students. Here you will find something like 3 marks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So total 8 marks, I should say. Don't confine and tell me, sir, every year are they going to test it 8 marks? No, I have already instructed you at the beginning of the session. There is a fluctuation. Maybe more than 8 or less than 8. But let us keep somewhere an average between somewhere 7 or 8 marks, so students, like keep an average between somewhere 7 or 8 marks and you will see the difference. What a weightage in verbal, and the subject is very easy. Let me tell you, subject is very easy. I know. Students, you discard those subjects which are very easy. Yes, and you should attend certain sections, you should attend the sessions. Like for example, like aptitude. Then for example, like numerical ability. Why you want to miss marks, students? So therefore, having attended these classes, I strongly believe that you are going to cut a very, very good figure in the examination. And try to attend the sessions. Don't miss the sessions. And if you can attend the sessions, and you will see the difference. Because what is being taught in high school is not being tested in GATE, students. GATE is highly standardized, right? And most of the English medium students come and argue in the class, sir, this is what we have been taught. No, but here it is competitive exam. So therefore, students, you need to learn. And I always urge students, please don't take practice questions having not gone through the chapter, please. You know what happens after having done 5 questions, if your 5 questions are wrong, you will feel sorry. And you say yourselves, this subject, I try to attempt it and I am unable to cut at least a good figure here. So better what I say, technical subjects you practice, please. Mathematics you practice, please. Aptitude you practice, but my subject, you have to, first of all, go through the chapter, attend the session, then only you take up the questions. And as you attend the sessions and as you go through the questions, you will feel confident, yes, I can go through these questions and all. One area where students like this basic vocabulary, I forgot to just say, every year they are testing something like confused words. I'll just wind up with this one, confused words. What are these confused words? They are very simple. A, B, C, D. For example, I just give you a word like personal. Personal and P-E-R-S-O-N-N-E-L. Personal, students now. Sometimes they have asked words like advice and A-D-V-I-S-E. What is the difference now? Supposing I say B-R-A-K-E and B-R-E-A-K, break. Q-U-I-T-E, Q-U-I-E-T. Simple words. For example, it is my personal phone. Is the sentence right? No, it's wrong. All the personal have been given off. No, personal is related to employment, job. And this is right. This is my personal phone. You are supposed to correct it. So very simple ones I just forgot to tell you, students. There is a big list of confused words which I have designed it. Especially when I teach the students, I at least mark them the previous years. Complement to complement. C-O-M-P-L-I, C-O-M-P-L-E. You should learn these differences. Students, this is only the strategy and the scores that I had to impart to you. So maybe I have not taken questions. Definitely time permits, I would have thrown significant light on these questions. But once you are in the classroom, expect students, like definitely you will see the difference. And with that confidence, you can cut a very good figure and come out with success and with rip-roaring success in GATE scores. I wish you all the best. Thank you, students.